I'm Bill Schaab, Senior Vice President of American D&D, Demolition and Nuclear Decommissioning. We're about a 22-year-old firm out of Buffalo, New York.
And Roni?
Awesome. I'm Roni Szigeti. I'm the CEO, co-founder of FieldFlo, demolition software ERP.
Stefan?
So my name is Stefan Stockhaus. I founded Steelwrist some 20 years ago. I'm still the CEO, and we have a great team here in the US. We are setting up our US manufacturing operation here to make sure we have shorter lead time to our customers. So I'm the CEO of Steelwrist.
And Ray?
Dr. Ray Gallant. I'm with Volvo Construction Equipment. I'm the Vice President of Sustainability and Productivity Services for the Americas.
Ray, I actually wanted to start with you because in terms of, electrification, we are seeing, those bigger machines becoming electrified. So from, the end user, what benefits are they seeing, would you say?
So first of all, I would say that electrification, when we say that term, a lot of people think battery electric or plug-in or some machines like that. But electrification goes far beyond that, where it's the backbone for a lot of the other technologies that we're bringing to play, like the telematics technologies, the automation technologies, machine control systems. So all of that works on electrification. Electrification by itself, we've had electric motors for 100 years, we've had batteries for years, a lot of those technologies are just getting better, but they have been around in electric equipment. The big benefits that we're seeing is that electrics now in machines give us the ability to go into job sites that normal conventional ICE machines or internal combustion machines cannot go into. So indoor environments where you have to be careful of emissions, electric machines are good at that. Where you need low noise, low vibration, electric machines are very good at those jobs. And we're just starting to get to the point where we can take advantage of some of the other features of electrics, like precision control. So rather than having to control RPM on an engine with a foot throttle, electrics can control RPM to within 1 or 2 revolutions per minute very, very precisely. So we can have precise hydraulic flows or electrical delivery to our control systems and make the machines very, very precise in what they do.
Stefan, when we caught up this morning, we were discussing how you approach, working with OEMs to, with attachments on their machines. So how do your attachments interact with the electrified machines to improve kind of precision and control, as Ray just said?
Well, from a precision and control perspective, electrical or diesel doesn't really matter for us. I mean, we work with tilt rotators, so we increase the efficiency by like 35–40%, something like that. But so related to precision and control, the question about electrical machines or not is not that relevant. But then, of course, you come to things like safety. You come to things like converting machines into tool carriers. So we do a lot related to precision and control, but it's not really related to electrical or non-electrical.
And Bill, obviously, I think you said at the start, a lot of the projects that you're working on, extremely hazardous environments. So how are these machines kind of helping you to improve safety within your company and for employees when they're actually on the ground?
It's a game changer. The technology that is here today that the manufacturers are putting into their equipment, such as the monitoring, the diagnostics, real-time reporting, is phenomenal. The hydraulic connect system that is here today is something that wasn't here 10 and 15 years ago, and the manufacturers have made huge advancements. When you couple all that together and you use it in the right way, it absolutely makes your job safer. The hydraulic connect system makes it so that you can do a job with one person instead of 3 or 4. The machine reporting that the manufacturers are doing makes it so that you can monitor it from a remote element, and the diagnostics helps you maintain it, do preventative maintenance, and even predictive maintenance, or knowing when something's going to happen before you might have telltale signs so that you can plan for it. All of it means the job's going to be done safer.
The mention there of kind of remote technology actually brings me a question that I have for you, Ray. So looking ahead, what are the upcoming tech and robotics that you see having the biggest impact on the modern demolition sites? So I know we spoke this morning about AI and how you're utilizing that.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, electrification opens up a whole lot of avenues with new technologies. So as we bring in telematics and artificial intelligence into play, we're able to do things like remote control the machines. So if you've got a very hazardous environment that you don't want to put your people into, we can operate the machine from 100 yards or 100 miles away and do it teleremotely. Or we can even build now autonomous machines that do the jobs and get the humans out of very dangerous environments. We sometimes talking about the 3 Ds of operators. If it's dirty, dangerous, or dull, we want to remove the operator from that and get him working on more value-added work that he can do in the job site. So that's one of the advantages, one of the directions. We see a lot of push towards not only making the machines more precise and more accurate in what they do and helping the operators be better operators, but also helping the sites coordinate between machines and coordinate schedules on all the machines working on the site to make the task more seamless across the site and therefore more efficient, more productive at less cost.
Now, Roni, this is in your wheelhouse, I think it's fair to say. So I think for a contractor, technology, AI, it's quite abstract. You don't know where to start. So, you know, how does it actually improve scheduling for equipment use and such?
So you guys have so much data, right? Real quick, show of hands, how many of you are using AI or anything in your companies? Awesome. You have so much data, and we see it at FieldFlo, right? Like, there's all this data that's not being used, right? From scheduling to your equipment tracking to all of this. And so what is really exciting about what all these guys are talking about up here is you're getting more and more data that's going to be coming to you, and now you need to know how to digest it. And the beautiful thing is that it's coming at a time when we can put that data in a digested model, chat, for example, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are using, or Gronks or whatever, and feeding those feeding the language models to say, hey, what is going on my job site? How can I be more efficient? They're giving it to you in telematics. It's going to give you the ability to be more proactive in the decisions that you're making on these enormous jobs that you guys are doing every single day. So when it comes to scheduling, dispatch, asset allocation, you name it, you can bring this data that all of these guys are bringing to you, that FieldFlo brings to you, any of the other softwares that you compile it into one place, and then make true decisions that are going to move the needle for you, make you safer, more efficient, and more productive.
Now, going back to yourself, Bill, obviously, you are the contractor, you're the ones that are using all of this technology, and I know you've done quite a lot in that respect. So, you know, what's the learning like for contractors on the ground in terms of different ways of working with technology?
And the learning end of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the learning, there is a learning curve, and you have to invest into it. It was great to see how many people are starting to use AI, but it's an investment in your future, it's an investment in your people. It's well worth it to do it. This AI is, I love the video from before where he showed the guy walking on in the airport. If you're walking, you're going to barely keep up. If you don't walk and you stand still, you're going to lose. You have to push forward. And it's got to start with management, the ownership, and the commitment. Your people and the people that are working for us, the laborers, the operators, invest in it, train them, work with them, give them the training that they need, because that's going to pay off for you in the long run as an investment in your future projects. It's going to make you more efficient, and it's going to make your job a better and safer project.
So in terms of the kind of AI embedded into machines, Ray, you were discussing earlier what Volvo are actually doing. So what are you doing with kind of AI in your machines? How is it helping the end user?
So as I mentioned, there's different dimensions to that. So we're putting a lot of AI in the machines, things like obstacle detection and collision avoidance. You know, it's not unusual now, new machines all have bird's eye view, they have cameras that not only will detect obstacles in your path, but will tell you it's a human, or it's an animal, or it's a rock, or it's a tree, and appropriately stop the machine if it needs to be stopped and if it shouldn't be entering that space. Those are very important safety features that AI is enabling us to bring forward. So it's looking at what the camera sees and interpreting that and putting it into a form that the operator can react to and manage. Then you go to the site dimension. So AI is helping us look at an entire site and coordinate between machines. So you don't get in situations where you have 10 trucks lined up at the loader waiting to be loaded. You can control when those trucks are coming in and schedule them so that they don't have downtime waiting in a queue line. And then finally, you get to the population dimension where we're using AI to look at what is the history of all the machines we have out there. And this is where predictive analysis and predictive failure modes come into play. So we can look at thousands of machines around the world, their duty cycles, and start monitoring when are the components likely to fail, and really streamlining that down and getting so that you don't have a component failure, you have a recommendation to fix before it does fail, which is of course a lot cheaper, a lot better for you, because you can take the machine down, fix it before it fails and takes out other systems on the machine. So those are all made possible because of AI being used on these systems. The data is not the problem. We have the ability to gather thousands of points per machine every minute if we want to. The problem is analyzing them, spotting the trends, spotting the relationships between different sensor outputs, and really making sense of what that's telling you. That's where AI really comes to the forefront.
And Stefan, so from your perspective, what are Steelwrist doing in that respect?
Of course, we can work a lot with haptic feedback to the operator, but sometimes I think that we get carried away by AI, and it's kind of difficult to understand what you're talking about. I mean, I was walking from the hotel to this site this morning, and there was a small job site there with, I think we counted 10 people, okay? And yesterday there was 8 people with one machine and everybody was standing. That's completely crazy. The best safety way is to get the people out of there. This should be one guy, one machine, and maybe one person on the ground. So, yes, of course, it's nice with all this AI stuff, but I mean, we have a job to do before we get there, I think.
And then just in terms of the sustainability element, I'm interested to see how you guys are kind of innovating in your kind of new launches just to improve sustainability on a job site. I'm assuming that would go down. No, that's a question for you.
Okay.
Just is that something that you liaise with? I don't know, the likes of Volvo. Would it be a conversation with other OEMs that are using the attachments?
Yes, we need. I mean, if you think about the machine and the attachment, actually the attachment or the work tool is actually. For me, kind of the machine is a great thing, but it's still a power source. So I think we can do things, making sure that the excavator needs less energy, increase the productivity by using a tilt rotator, for instance, which is the obvious productivity improvement work tool. Mm-hmm. But we need to actually work with the OEMs quite tightly sometimes to be able to optimize the relationship between the attachment or work tool and the machine.
Just going back to what we started with, the electrification. This is maybe more of a journalistic question, but are you working on anything kind of hydrogen powered, or is it very much still on the electric side for Volvo? Because I know at Bauma you had an entire lineup of electric equipment.
Yeah, so we are working on basically 5 different solutions for the power end of sustainable power. So we could do battery electric machines, for instance. We could do hybrid machines. We can do hydrogen powered, either through fuel cells or through combustion. We can do grid-connected machines, and finally, there's a raft of sustainable fuels, which even though they may not be zero emission, are still more sustainable than burning of pure fossil fuels. So any one of those 5 solutions can be the best solution for a particular job or a particular task that you want to do, and we're exploring, along with our colleagues in the industry and our competitors in the industry. I can tell you all of those solutions are being looked at. So and as part of the theme of this is the collaboration. There's a lot more collaboration between companies and sub-suppliers to us than there ever has been in the industry trying to solve these sustainability problems, which are huge. And getting back to what was said in the last presentation, you know, the aspect of making these solutions economically viable for our customers and their companies is a big piece of that. We've got to keep that balance in mind so that, you know, yes, we can design something technologically beautiful for sustainability, but if nobody can afford to buy it or run it, it doesn't do us any good. So that's what we're spending a lot of our time on.
Bill, one for you really. So obviously all of your projects hazardous waste, but I'm just interested, are you facing pressures with, you know, having to use more sustainable equipment?
Yes, there's always that issue now nowadays, just with the fossil burning and everything else. So things that lead to be more sustainable, more integration with the crew, reducing hours at risk. If you can reduce hours at risk with a sustainable piece of equipment and new technology that reduces those hours, it makes the job safer. So it's use the right tool for the job, design the right tool for the job, and then use the right tool for the job.
And then, Roni, just from your perspective, because I think in the industry there's a lot of software out there, are you working on anything for job site reporting, emissions reporting?
For what, I'm sorry?
For equipment.
Yeah, so we're working on, and it goes kind of what Ray was talking about. So the combination of AI and productivity, in FieldFlo, essentially we view agentics as kind of the future of software for our world, for our industry, right? So we want to have a supervisor or a foreman on a job site being able to have this agent or project coordinator, if you will, saying, hey, I'm ready to start my day. Okay, start talking to me, start taking video, and I'll build out all of that documentation that you need, your JHAs, right, your timesheets, your daily field reports, your demolition log, equipment tracking sheet, asset tracking sheet. So essentially, they have an assistant on that job site that they are talking to in whatever language they want, prompting them to, hey, you kind of left this out, what's your PPE for the day? What are the operators going to be doing? And then taking video so you can see, and so the AI is reading what's going on in the job site. And so then it's building out all that forms and documentations that you need to provide to your clients, to the GC, owners, whoever they need to, and then on top of it, building all that data to put it into a snapshot for the day. And then as it relates to the equipment, they are able to go ahead and start building out, you know, obviously your guys' fleets are all sitting in the inventory. They're able to go and say, hey, create a warehouse request, I need a loadout list right now, I need the 400, I need this Steelwrist attached, I need instant generation, and then you can see asset allocation across all your job sites. By the way, it sounds complicated and scary, and it is in the background, but for them, what we're deciding is that agents to help them get their job done so they can focus on getting the job done right, in the right pieces of equipment, on the right tools, everything, is gonna make and change the game for our industry, right? Making more efficient, safer, better at their job so they can focus on the work and getting money.
And then going back to what we were saying earlier, it's a bit of a minefield, kind of trying to figure out what technology you need. So with that, if you're approaching a contractor, how do you advise that they go about it? Because obviously, you know, do you jump straight in and go for AI, or is it bespoke?
Yeah, it depends. You know, when we were going over questions, that depends on the team you have, right? There's certain, even with FieldFlo, like, there's certain clients that are like, we're ready. We've already been using software. Everybody, we got, you know, maybe a younger team, whatever the case may be. And at that point, the leaders are ripping it like a Band-Aid. We want it on site, right? We want equipment out, time, safety, the gamut, dispatching, scheduling, everything. But for those ones, you know, anybody in here who didn't hold their hand up and say we're using technology, right? At the end of the day, if you can pick the lowest hanging fruit and what the biggest pain in your butt is, and implementing technology, and even, you know, if we're talking about AI here, picking that off and seeing how that can fit your needs and purposes is, I think, the best way to go, right? Going to what you were talking about, if leadership, though, is not a part of this, it's not going to go anywhere, right? So the biggest thing is that you have buy-in from the leadership, and then below, they'll be more, I guess, more quick to jump on with, you know, underneath your leadership and tutelage. So for those people that, you know, technology, in summary, is not part of your day right now, and your pen and paper and more of a manual process, chip off, one thing I just saw, big contractor, they loaded it in their health and safety manual into ChatGPT, gave everybody, every foreman access to it, and now they can talk. And so they're like, hey, we're doing work on, you know, above 4 feet, what do you think I should do? Chat sends it back. They don't have to read through your 400-page health and safety manual. Chat gave it back and it's like, hey, per our health and safety reg and OSHA, this is what you need to watch out for, this is what you need to do. That is the lowest hanging fruit, and do you know what that did? Saved that foreman enormous amount of time, kept him safer, and could talk about that knowledgeably in the toolbox talk. So, if anything from this, just start small if you have to, and there's other people where you're like, no, we'll rip it like a Band-Aid, and we're gonna run with this. But be willing to run with your teams, for sure. Sorry if I took too much time on that.
But I think that's an excellent point that, you know, quite often we get talking to contractors and they want to go to the end point of applying these new technologies. When can my site be perfect and fully electric and everything else? And that's not necessarily the best way to go. So you may want to go that direction, but there are small steps that may be the best starting point. One of the other things that this technology can do for us, the AI technology, is create very sophisticated models of your site and your job and help you plan those small steps. You know, the fact is with electric equipment, we're starting to have a few models out there, but we can't electrify entire fleets of what you guys are using. Some of it's going to be diesel or alternate fuel for the foreseeable future. So we need to help you plan those small steps that get it to be more sustainable in the direction that you want to go. But, you know, we need to get away from trying to do this all tomorrow. It just never happens with any technology that way. It's a gradual process where we bring in the new technologies. Stefan was saying, you know, change the habits of today and work towards a better way of doing it rather than try to design the perfect site and get there tomorrow.
So, Stefan, just going back to job site efficiency, so how do you approach that when you're coming up with some new concepts for?
No, but if you take what Bill said before, I mean, being able to use the right tool all the time. So then we come back to, okay, so what is the changeover time between two different work tools? So if you do it, what probably a lot of you do today, you would do it manually. I mean, you probably have a ping grabber or something, and someone would go out there and actually disconnect two hoses and a kind of slobby thing, which is terrible for efficiency. It's also terrible for sustainability and the environment and everything. So if we can help you guys to make the tool switch in 8 to 10 seconds, that's a lot of improvement and a lot of productivity.
Yeah, we were talking this morning about yesterday's quite bleak outlook for the staff shortages in the US. So I think things like that, where you can just get that productivity on site, is something that I suppose the whole industry needs to address across the board.
And of course, that technology is available today. You can buy it tomorrow. Whereas AI is of course, we are investing a lot in that, but it's kind of a little bit fuzzy still.
Okay. And just to yourself, Bill, then, so in terms of improving productivity on sites, what technology are you using? Because I think you've been investing quite heavily in the last few years, haven't you, in more technology?
Yes, so light bulb moment there, Roni. That was good about the AI and taking your HASP, your health and safety plan, and putting into it. I can't tell you how many times I've walked on the job and I'm doing a safety audit and the foreman is missing 3 items that he should have had, and they're critical items. No fault to him, he's trying to get the job done. We have done that's one of the things that we're going to be doing right away, is getting our health and safety plan into an AI program, because the guys will use that. But what we've done for the AI We've used it a lot in bidding, just to kind of just what you're saying. We've taken an entire set of bid specs. How many times, we do a lot of federal and government work, so a bid package comes out and it's this thick. And it's got, half of it's all data about the project, reports, characterization data, and then the other half is what we're supposed to do for the work scope. And AI is not an end-all, be-all. AI, you have to learn it yourself, we find. You also have to teach it, and you've got to ask it intelligent questions, and when it gives you an answer, question it. We call it, in our world, the DOE world, the trust but verify. A lot of times we've asked it questions in a bid spec, and it'll give us about 90% of the answer. What it's missing is 10%, and that 10% will probably cost you to get the job because you're going to miss something. We've all been there. You get the job, and it's what the hell did I miss, and everybody else got. So the AI can be very useful for that, but you can't trust it completely. So we've used it for evaluating specs, working through technical problems, and also in the safety arena with the health and safety stuff. We've not done it with the health and safety plan, but we have done it from a standpoint of analysis, taking data from personal exposure monitoring, breathing zone samples, area samples, put that together, and then it is fantastic for sifting through that data and then summarizing the results.
Yeah, I think I described your business as kind of a niche in a niche. So would that mean your technology needs a slightly different to other contractors?
Come again on that one.
Next year, 2026. Okay. So Stefan, I'm kind of intrigued to know how you kind of approach the topic of sustainability, but from your perspective internally.
Internally?
Yes.
Within the company? I mean, of course, in Europe, it has been a really big topic. Sustainability has been kind of the top of the line. Everybody has to work on it until the Ukraine war. So nobody cares about it anymore. So it's a big change in the last year or so. But of course, we focus a lot on helping our customers. We do a lot of it. It really doesn't matter. We can put solar cells on the roof. I can take the bicycle to the work every day, and that. Our biggest contribution is basically making excavators more efficient. It doesn't really matter what I do, apart from that.
Just out of interest, a show of hands for the contractors here that have electric equipment as part of their fleet. Not many. And keep your hand up if you are US based and have electric equipment. 10, maybe? Does that surprise you all? Because I think in Europe we're potentially slightly further down the line, but North America, would you say it's maybe regulation is not driving that conversation?
It is, of course, growing with electrical, and but we have a lot of business in Asia as well. I'm not sure what's happening. And quite frankly, there's more electrification in China than it is here, I think. And they are really far ahead when it comes to electrification.
I think what we've realized about electrification is that more and more we're coming to the reality that it's not a replacement for diesel. It's an alternate power source which gives you abilities in certain job types. It may be a replacement for diesel in 10 years when the battery price come down and the capacities go up. It isn't right now. So we have a lot of contractors who have tried it, love it, but it's just not practical for their application. So I'm not surprised that the uptake rates are a bit slower, and it mirrors what happened with automotive and the trucking industry, which were leading us in this electrification journey. So I would love for it to be a lot quicker, but when you realize that it's an alternate way of doing things, an alternate way of setting up your job sites, you realize that it's going to take a while to really see the benefits and to adopt throughout the industry.
I think there's a little bit of a challenge there in the infrastructure is where it comes from. The, so we're all demo guys, so what do we do on a job? The first thing we do is take out the utilities, take out the power, the sewer, the water, and everything else. So now if you've got a electric-powered excavator there, how do you charge it? Where does the power come from? So you've got to have another alternate standpoint. What are you going to do? Bring in a diesel generator and then plug that in? Well, you just, where did you go with it? So I think to your point there, in America, we've got, in the continental U.S., we've got to get that infrastructure there. And I think the more there is for infrastructure, the more there is for that capability. And also, you've got to design it into your demo job. You need to have enough power there. If you got a fleet of 6 or 8 big excavators, you're going to need a big power supply to make sure they're charged. So there's a little bit of an impediment starting out, and I think it'll come in time.
I think these guys, they're putting together a whole infrastructure behind electrical machines, and I see that many of the OEMs are working on that.
Yeah, but it's still in its infancy. So
Yeah,
we're
sure.
coming up with solutions, but as you say, the infrastructure, especially here in the U.S., and especially when you look at some of the more exotic ways of powering equipment like hydrogen, it's just not readily available on most job sites. So we realize that we've got to make it practical that you can get the job done first. And then where these machines make sense and the infrastructure is available, this may be a viable solution.
And Roni, just going back to what we were saying earlier about emissions tracking, so are you seeing an increase of companies asking for that because they're seeing projects being more sustainable?
Repeat the first part, sorry.
So emissions tracking, you said you're working on something. Are you getting an influx of companies that are coming to you asking for that?
Yeah, some are, essentially people coming to us are just asking to be more efficient, period. And then also, sustainability is always a topic, especially from the environmental demolition contractors. But essentially, everything that we build is based on reviews and responses. I mean, Door's over there not listening to me, but like he's one of the people that come to us asking us for these certain things. And so that is essentially guiding the future of the industry here. It's like, hey, we need these things. They're either coming down from regulation or the need to do, or to be more efficient, or to make more money because things are more competitive. And so at the end of the day, that's going to drive the technology, as you guys are stating too, on the equipment side. So yeah, 100% it's because it's being asked for from the contractors.
And then I think as we come towards the end of the panel, I'd just like to take a look at some real-world lessons that we've discussed. So, Bill, just going back to yourself, based on your projects, what would you say in terms of the combination of machines and AI, what's had the biggest impact on you as a company?
I think it's an overall group of them, and in kicking it around here, I think I can kind of put about 5 different key elements of the technology, the electrification, the AI, it's all integrated. I think in the overview, the UHDs, the ultra-high demolition machines, which are extremely advanced with all of the integration that they have, the cameras, what the manufacturers are doing for the collision avoidance and being able to recognize what's around them. I mean, I'm an old school guy, and too many times I'm on a job and I've had two guys run excavators into each other because they're trying to get the job done and they're working too close. It just shouldn't happen. The other thing I think that is huge nowadays, and that's growing by leaps and bounds with all the manufacturers, is the remote technology, both tethered, wireless for line of sight, and the remote where you can be sitting here today and running a machine 1,000 miles away. That will just, in the hazardous work environment that we work in, whether we're filling in basements that are 50 feet deep, and we got slope concerns, and we got soil concerns, you don't have to put a person down there. You can put a machine down there. Or in the extremely highly radiologically contaminated things that we work in, again, that's a machine, but it's not a person, and the person is not at risk. The hydraulic quick connect systems that Steelwrist makes and all the other manufacturers, Oil Quick, Caterpillar, everybody that's got it, is a huge game changer. There's an investment. There is a return on that investment, but I'll guarantee you, we've put on a couple of our fleets on some major projects, and it's a quicker return than you think, because you are saving so many man-hours at risk, and it's much safer. Just that time in short term, and the people that are not at risk comes back to pay in spades. And the other one is dust suppression. You know, years ago, a guy with a fire hose, it would be a garden hose and a nozzle. And then it's a fire hose, and he's standing there and fighting. He's trying to spray water next to a shear or a grapple ripping down a building that's got crap falling all around him, and he's trying to hold an 1.5-inch fire hose, you know, blasting at 80 psi on it. So he's fighting to just stand there. Nowadays, you've got what we call a turbine high lift. We've got the atomization of dust suppression, and that has come a long ways to make all of our jobs safer, and the environment and the projects that we do to make the neighborhood safer.
And then from your perspective, Roni, when customers are trying to measure return on investment, what are the key metrics that you're seeing that kind of positive feedback on?
I mean, time is the #1 ROI, right? And you guys, everybody who raised their hands and said that they've used AI or technology, I mean, the first thing you're gonna see is time, right? Holy cow, even when I'm preparing for this meet, right? I threw it in and what are the questions and give me some good talking point. It took 2 seconds, right? So the biggest return that you're gonna see right off the bat is time. Safety, you just brought up safety, right? At the end of the day, that's a quantifiable metric on if I am implementing this AI with health and safety plans or with being able to build better JHAs and task hazard controls or whatever the case may be, am I a safer company, which then obviously results in the bottom line, right? And hopefully in a good way. And then productivity. So that goes to time also, but just because you save time doesn't mean you're productive, is the ability to be more productive. And when you see that, it's on job sites, it's in the office, you know, the back end side of things. Are we more productive? Can we take on more work? Can we do more work? Can we get work done faster, right? Those are the true ROI pieces that you should be at any technology, whether it's AI or any technology, your telematics, your asset management system, whatever the case may be, it should all be leading to those, making you more, you know, with faster, safer, more productive.
And then Stefan, so yesterday you spoke about, you know, the collaboration within the industry. So is that something moving forward that you think is really key in addressing sustainability, health and safety on sites? Is that something you really see as the key?
Behind the standard, you mean, or what was the question?
Collaboration.
Collaboration?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, we're quite close to the work tool, quite close to the job, quite close to the hardware. So I think, yes, we work to do, but if you really want to be more sustainable, more safe, and more productive, you need to start somewhere. You need to start to convert this idea of having multiple machines, one work tool, because it's just a lot of transportation, a lot of costs, a lot of people needed. You need to start to think about excavators as tool carriers. And you start somewhere. Start with one.
Perfect. Well, I think it's fair to say that a lot has been discussed that we can, you know, take back to the office with us once the World Demolition Summit closes for 2025. But we do have, I think, 5 minutes for question and answer. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. One at the back there.
With regards to the AI thing you're talking about, where do you see the sort of liability lying? So you said how it responds with 90% of the answer, but surely if you're providing an AI product to someone, you've got to give some sort of guarantee that it's being truthful or reflective of the answer?
And who was that for, sorry?
Anyone.
Roni, do you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, so was it liability? Is that what I heard? With anything, it's going to be condition liability, right? So it's as smart as I think you said, right? So you're going to verify, and that's no matter what, you should be. It should get you to an answer in a better situation real fast, and then you got to have someone there verifying. The foreman, right? The competent person on site, the competent person in the office, the estimator that you were talking about. We're not there yet. I mean, I don't know how much you've used AI, but yeah, sometimes it'll get funky on you. But at the end of the day, the more that you train that, right, and this will actually go back to liability a little bit, the more that you train it, the better it's going to get, right? And for our models, we're training it, right, on OSHA specific for the United States. You're training that model to get better and better over time, but then that goes back to liability, right? Now you're like, oh, it's gotten so good, I don't need to check it anymore. This thing's amazing. That's never going to be the case, in my opinion. Not for a very long time. So for me as a software owner, it's going to be condition liability. Hey, by using this, we're going to try and make you the best that you possibly be, but you take all full responsibility that you're going to verify all the data that's going to be sent back to you. It's a great question, and that is a scary thing. Other thing that you should be asking about is I thought this is where your question was going, is that any of you guys that are using ChatGPT or any of the language models, you got to make sure that the liability of data getting out and being shared with the world, right? And that's something that you guys should all know about, and I don't even know if this is part of the panel, but you should make sure you turn it off that you're not helping to train other models, right? Especially if he's doing DoD stuff, you're doing nuclear stuff. That can't go into a language model that can be shared with anybody else. So you need to make sure in your settings, everybody click on your settings, make sure you go that you're not going to share this out with anybody else. And so it stays in your own environment. With us, that's how we work, but that's something, if you guys are out there using readily available consumer AI, make sure that you're not feeding sensitive data to everybody else, because that's a whole nother liability conversation. So.
Question building on that. No, but when I use ChatGPT myself, I sometimes get so good answers, so it's difficult to actually check and verify as if I knew better myself. No, it's not. Sometimes I get the AI robot is way smarter than I am. So.
Definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, you're asking me, how do you check and verify?
How do you check and verify something which is much smarter than you are?
Well, then that's when you actually go to Google searches. But really, the answer is that some of them will give you, depending on what language model you're doing, they'll tell you where they're getting that data if you want to understand where that came from. But at the end of the day, the more of the issue is going to come when you're loading in specs, health and safety manuals, and they cherry-picked the section that worked for them to give you an answer, and they left out a whole nother section. That's the big liability and verification piece is like, hey, you did great on 90%, but you totally forgot that if you're using a ladder in this type of setting, then that whole rule changes. They cherry-picked the top part and forgot to go and list the bad. So I think that's going to be where, and it always will be, a scary situation that they could leave something vital out. Giving you the data, they're not, and I don't know, I'd love to hear what you guys think, but they're not really giving you bad, in my experiences, right? And our experiences of our engineers, bad data in your case, they're answering the question correctly, right? Very rarely are you gonna be like, that thing's full of shit, right? Part of my language, but it's probably giving you a good answer. It's what are they lacking in that answer they gave you back, right? That could get you in trouble. Good question.
I think what we as designers have to be really careful of is the data integrity and data validity that goes into these models, because it's just like anything else, junk in, junk out. So if you don't control your data and know that it's good data, you can't blame AI for giving you a bad answer. Right. And I think that's true of search engines, it's true of anything that we're doing. So we have a certain responsibility there to get the right data, to get it reported properly, to have the APIs so these companies can write the softwares that'll give us good answers. And that takes down the liability tremendously.
That's awesome. Louis, can I give a homework assignment for everyone?
Go on.
If you guys, just for fun, and this is really, it's rad if you try this, but like going off of this, if you guys are getting telematics data, I just talked to someone, a good friend of mine out in the hallway. If you're getting telematics data and you're not doing anything with it, or maybe you are, take that data, or even use scheduling or a dispatch board or an Excel spreadsheet, throw it into into chat, right, for example, and say, hey, I have these types of projects. This project's this type, this project's this type. Build out the best schedule that I have. Or based on this telematics, who do you think my best operator is? Which is an operator that I should be most concerned of? Just see what the response that it's going to give you back. Maybe you guys are already doing this. I just think you'll be very surprised that you're like, holy cow, that thing just did what we all do subjectively. I know Bill's a great operator. His stuff never breaks, but you don't know, right? And so just throw data in there and start asking it questions and see what it gives you back. Or have it build out the best dispatch schedule for you or asset allocation schedule for you and see what happens. It's so fun to just play around with it, and then you'll get better. You're training the model, but then it's training you on like, how do you want to prompt me? And by the way, there's going to be other softwares. I know I keep bringing up with Gronks and Chats and Claudes and all that, but like, you guys are going to have softwares out there that are going to be very specific to you. So, thanks. Sorry, Lewis.
Any other questions? Perfect. Well, one more time, a round of applause for our panelists.
Okay. Good job.